Hello YouTube, in this video we're going to add some pause functionality to our game. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, under the canvas we're going to go to UI and panel. And we're going to call this pause panel. And under that we're going to add some UI text. And we'll call this pause text. And since we have a black background in our game, I'm going to make this panel a little bluish, and I'll keep the alpha around 100. And for pause text, I'm just going to write pause for the text. Change the font. Change the size to 30. Center vertical and horizontal alignment, and set overflow to both vertical and horizontal. And then I'll set the text color to white. And I'm going to disable the panel by default. Now I'm going to look for on update. And I'm going to look for key down. And we want the get key down with the key code. And that allows us to look for the specific escape button. And if I make it callable, I can hook it up to update. And now we need a switch condition. Plug value into condition. And from true, we want to set paused. But before we can set it, we need to know what the current value is. So we'll get paused, and then look for not, which will invert whatever the current value is. So if it's false, it'll invert it to true. And if it's true, it'll invert it to false. So let's just test that. So when I press escape, you'll see pause toggle. And if I keep pressing it, it'll toggle on and off. That's exactly what we want. And from there, we're going to create a new switch condition using the value of whatever paused is. And then we'll set the time scale. So if paused is true, we'll set the timescale to 0, and if paused is false, we'll set the timescale to 1. Quick note, I think I read somewhere that if you're going to be using timescale in your game, instead of just using 1, you're supposed to get whatever the timescale is when your scene starts, store that into a variable, and then just set the timescale to whatever the value of that variable is when you unpause. But I'm going to keep things simple for this game. I'm just using 0 and 1. That was just a quick note. And now I need to create a game object variable, which I'm going to call pause panel. And I'm going to look for set active. And the idea is here that we want to enable and disable the pause panel based on the pause value. So I'm going to get the pause panel. I'm going to connect the set active, duplicate that, connect the other set active, and I'll drag the pause panel into both of the game objects. So if it's paused, it'll set it to true. If it's not paused, it'll set it to false. Quick note, if you do see a red X over any of your nodes, it means that something is wrong. And that's a good indicator that you forgot to do something or you're misusing one of the nodes. And in this case, I didn't have the pause panel in my variable yet, and that's why it showed up with a red X. So now when I pause it, you'll see the pause panel show up. Now I'm going to create an onStart group of nodes, which will just set a couple defaults for us, like setting timescale to 1 and setting the pause panel to inactive. Let's test it again. Everything looks okay there. Alright, that's it for this video. It was another short one. In the next one, we'll add the game over functionality to our game, and I hope to see you then.